What if I told you war is a liar? Who claims there isn't enough wealth, isn't enough bread, isn't enough land for everyone to live in abundance? Imagine being one of the forsaken souls dumped in the middle of a hopeless field, or on a train with no leg space, unaware of a destination or any idea of where your family even is. Or perhaps beside a river with your hands and knees tied shoulder to shoulder in a line of people, preparing yourself for the light growing steadily brighter in the distance. I can't lie, this is probably the most depressing project I've worked on so far. I've been editing this for over a month, and I legit found myself have to take constant breaks from all the footage I've been watching. I got access to so much footage and hard drives that aren't available to the public. This whole video is supposed to go in a completely different direction at first. I just genuinely had no way to make it uploadable for YouTube. So I decided to gear this into a bigger, more broad picture through the voices of survivors. And through this little documentary, you'll see the question that is posed. How does one keep their faith alive when everyone around you wants you dead for it? One of the best parts about this whole thing is the fact that people just gather here for fun. Apparently, to top it off, I came on the wrong day. I purposely waited until the second to last day of Ramadan to start this video. And that was not very successful because I just walked in the middle of probably the biggest party of Ramadan in this whole place. But whatever, we gonna make it work. Peep the birds, peep the birds. Come on. Iconic. Turn around, show them the iconic. That's why y'all should shop merch. Show them the iconic. Shop the merch, bro. What y'all waiting for? I'm pretty sure that we all at one point drive by religious facilities and cultural buildings. We may often pay no mind to it, but at the same time, it wouldn't be possible without the many people who have fought blood, sweat, and tears into it. I grew up Muslim, quote, grew up Muslim, but like many people, I at times wondered, is that really the label I feel confident in? My first time ever being in a mosque ever was in kindergarten, and it was this exact one that you see here. As I mentioned, this is also a cultural school, so it was more so Albanian teaching. I do remember praying in this exact room. The next day, I go to school, and during the check-in, the teacher's asking the students what they did over the weekend. I stood up from our little crisscross applesauce, went through all the motions we did. She was bad confused. But here I was telling her, I did this, I'm going up and down in every motion. But as I got older, I became really antsy with my relationship with Islam and with God overall. And I started to learn more about my culture's history on my own time. That's when it started to sink into me that we Albanians are Muslim because it was forced upon us. I was in denial for a little bit because I didn't want to think that this many generations of my family continued a facade. And that's when I started to think that, okay, maybe God's not real at all, because if that was the case, why would the world be the way it is today? I remember being in 7th grade with my older cousin. We were in the car one night, it was like 12 a.m. And in my mind, this guy was as far from a Muslim as possible, as far from any religious man as possible. Whatever sins, whatever haram you can think of, he probably used to do it all on a regular basis. And so I thought to myself, okay, this is the one person in my family that I could actually relate to with this. And so when I was sitting passenger princess to him, I thought I could vent my heart out. When I lived in Montenegro, there were not many people I could do that to. So I started telling them, I actually can't believe our people still believe in Allah. I can't believe our people still think God is real, and I can't believe our people still chose Islam. I thought for sure that he was about to start spitting with me, but him letting me cook was honestly the test of it all. This question was always probably at the top of my head when it came to this topic. I thought, if God was real, what made God? Eventually, I stopped yapping, and after my little rant, that's when he took a brief pause and told me, Amir, this was probably the most ignorant moment of your life. In fact, if you weren't so ignorant and you actually bothered to look into this from the source directly, you would realize everything we think of is in human standards, and that's how God made us. You can't associate humans with God. You can't associate human attributes with the creator of these attributes. Things like time, health, divinity are concepts unique to this life of which we are accustomed to as people, which Allah is not subjected to. And that's what makes a religion. That's what makes our religion trust, discipline, forgiveness, submission to our Creator who leaves it upon us to instill this humbling belief that this life is not by accident. It's just another aspect in the law of duality created by God, which we know of as the law of polarity, where all universal concepts are created in pairs. Any concept you can think of in your head has an equal or an opposite, which Allah has created for us to emphasize that He alone is the one. He is not to be associated with any equal or opposite. And so a true believer in Islam, or probably any religion, would know the harm in following something blindly. And so these questions themselves pose no harm, especially in the event of which you do so to seek forth an understanding. It only ever brought me closer to the answers of which I was at one point blind to.
Salam is the essence of our faith. Even Islam itself is based on the word salam. Islam comes from salam. And we are obligated to do that. We're obligated to be people of peace.
Where is this going?
YouTube, Instagram, po shqiptar
Oh,
jam.
mashallah, prej kaj?
Jam prej Malizit.
Malzi?
Yes sir. Tuzi.
Ka mund t'jena kushri, se do nga Tuzi kam familjen.
Apo?
Allah ka bo.
Selam aleikum bro. Aleikum salam.
I'd like to ka qef me bën një dokumentar. Where would be the best?
Përshëndetje hosh, so I'm doing a documentary on Balkan Muslims, European Muslims, and particularly white Muslims, because a lot of the world, America in general, doesn't know that white Muslims exist.
True.
And I know you're relatively new here to this
I'm
mosque?
relatively new here.
Okay.
I've been here for about a month. I think it's very important to be familiar with, as you said, being from Europe, Caucasian, and at the same time being a Muslim. This is something very rare you don't come across a lot, except for mainly Albanians, Bosnians. It's really kind of fulfilling, you know, to serve a community like this one. This center has been here for a long time. It has been established since 1962. During the month of Ramadan, I get very busy with mainly the Taraweeh prayers. It's a long prayer, which takes about between an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half.
Many people do not know that you can just walk into a mosque. They think that you need perhaps a membership, or you need to know somebody, or you even need to be Muslim, and that's not correct.
I mean, to be a Muslim, it doesn't require baptizing, it doesn't require anything special. Mainly, it is something that is related to your belief, to your conviction with your heart about the existence of one God, and also the acceptance that Prophet Muhammad is the messenger of God. It's only the shahada, as we call it, the testimony of faith.
So it's more about genuine belief and discipline than say a label.
Right. And if a person doesn't know how to pray, if a person doesn't know how to fast, they can always learn those later. But if they come to a conclusion with a sincerity in their hearts that, you know what, there is only one God, the Prophet Muhammad is the messenger of God, somebody who believes that he was a chosen prophet to relate not only to Arabs but to the whole world. As long as you accept that with your heart and you pronounce those words, the testimony of faith, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, you're a Muslim, which is, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the messenger of Allah. A person is a Muslim at that point.
Oppression with Islam and even Balkan people has been a really big part of our history.
The oppression, as you said, this is something that is related to our history as well, because we have been occupied and we have been suffering. A lot of people, they think that Islam started being spread only during the time of the Ottomans. The presence of Islam was way before them. Some people, unfortunately, they say that it started being spread by the sword, which rejects Islamic principles, because there's no compulsion in religion, it says. So it would be kind of absurd to think that now they forced Albanians to become Muslims, but they didn't force all the other countries around Albania.
I like how you brought up that topic of the misrepresentation of Muslims in our country solely being Muslim because it was spread by the sword. Being Muslim, you have to do so by the discipline at heart of doing so.
Of course,
and that's
yeah.
not something you could
It's
just
a
call
choice.
yourself without actually believing in it. And it's only up to you to know that, and it's nobody else's obligation.
As somebody from Albania who suffered communism for many years, a lot of suffering, a lot of oppression. From an Islamic point of view, oppression is not only prohibited, but it has major consequence in the hereafter. What's happening to our Palestinian brothers right now in Palestine, not even being able right now to pray, is clearly a violation. You know, as somebody who has seen people going to jail based on their religious views, I can also feel to a certain point what Palestinians are going through right now.
So I pulled up to Wisconsin. I realized I really didn't get any daytime shots in this video at all. Yeah, the motherfucker's employed. LOL. There are not many Albanian mosques in the Midwest. Michigan, Chicago, and this one, which I really never knew about. So this is gonna be my first time in today, actually. It's always so interesting, the concept of having mosques in the middle of nowhere. In my mind, when I drive through these little like farmlands, I'd be thinking of your typical like American dream. High school quarterback life. This is my first time in here. I didn't even know they had an Albanian mosque in Wisconsin.
You wanna know something crazy?
What's up?
This is the first mosque in all of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I heard that. The first mosque in all of Wisconsin.
Do you wanna check out the inside?
So when we first walked in the mosque, there was this group of ladies chilling there. It came with a lot of questioning and everything, but of course I understood. I guess it's off-putting to see a big white guy in a cowboy hat nowadays. I couldn't really blame him for it. Bro, I feel bad. Those grandmas said so. We thought you were ice.
They thought
I mean, get out. I mean, I get me, but how are you? Nah, whatever. Yeah, I guess this is valid. This is an Albanian mosque though, bro. Like, what do they expect? On that topic, I know that this mosque is not as much Albanian anymore, right? Because if you go to the one in Illinois, it's like all Albanians. But of course, you have people praying there and stuff.
Sometimes we have a picnic in the summer.
Uh-huh.
A lot of Albanians.
Okay.
Come. We have like a soccer tournament. And
Okay.
stuff. Hopefully this brings more Albanians.
And of course, like, for religion, race does not take into account for anything, but centers like this, we gotta like preserve them for our culture, I feel like, as well.
100%.
Can I ask you something, sir?
Yes.
Did you take permission from the committee here to do what you're doing?
For all the mosques in this video, we spoke to the imams, and they were completely fine with us recording. Not that imams dictate the mosque, but they definitely have a major influence in it. I like to think of where people are coming from, but you also gotta recognize that imagine being a person who didn't grow up in Islam, looking to maybe get closer to the religion, or just wanting to walk in a mosque with good, pure intentions in general, and you walk in and run into people who are completely honestly unwelcoming like they were. I'm making a video on the genocide of Kosovo, which this has a lot to do with, as well as Islam. We're just on a tight schedule. We have a friend coming. It's only gonna be 10 minutes.
Who do you know? Who do you know here?
Show us your ID.
Name a few people that you know from the Albanian community.
Sharif is the president of the board.
Who?
Sharif.
Sharif, okay.
Sharif Jalaluddin is my friend. We studied Quran together.
Do you know Imam Ilyas?
Yeah, Imam Ilyas.
Allah yarham.
Yeah.
What's his son's name?
His son's name is also Amir.
Okay, now you pass the test.
Ata si janë shqiptarë, jo?
Yo, këto
Everyone, so exit slip of a question. Oh my god. It goes to show when you're a white Muslim, like, bro, you don't fit in like almost anywhere if it's not your
like someone.
This is an Albanian mosque, and they still see white people and question whether or not we should be allowed in here.
First
And
they
then,
called us ICE, then they like asked us a lot of questions if we know the board of them.
yeah.
When my parents first came here, they weren't as religious. Once they started having kids, they realized that Islam is the only way, especially to stay grounded in the United States. So my dad really started getting into Islam. This actual mosque, the community watched me grow. I was pretty much in a Muslim household ever since I was born. My parents, not so much, but alhamdulillah, now growing up, both of my parents are very religious. When I was younger, my dad used to make us pray all the time, and I would always question it, like, why is he making us get up so early? Why is he making us make wudu? Like, what is this for? And as I was growing up, it felt like this routine, this task that I had to keep doing. When I was about 12 is when I started really like getting interested in Islam, because I found those videos on YouTube about science and Islam, and then that's what got my attention. I started learning how to recite in Arabic, started reciting Quran at that time. The hardest part for me was going to school. My friends and people at school, when they would find out that I'm Muslim, they would have such a hard time, you know, getting that in their head, because they're like, who's this white dude? They always assume that Muslims are these big people in beards and 9/11 this, 9/11 that. It was always some terrorist joke.
This is Mielich, and these are the men who've come to burn it. Until a week ago, it was full of Albanians, Today, it was looted by Serbs. The man stealing the television is a policeman. The 5 men move from house to house and with a matchbox begin to wipe Milic from the map, making it hard for Albanians ever to return. The Serbs know we're filming them, but they make the law here and they break it, so they burn Milic to the ground.
It's being said on the news, Serbian military forces are coming into Kosovo. So my dad ended up going to work that day. Co-workers and everybody who was there are saying, yeah, guys, we gotta get it going home because it looks like they're hitting the mainland. My mom, my entire family, while they're home, they just hear a loud bang on the door. It's bang, 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 bang. The Serbian police kick the door open as soon as somebody turns the handle, and they say, you have 10 minutes to grab whatever you need to grab. Otherwise, we're killing the entire family. So they grabbed whatever they could hold, and then they pushed the whole town. Imagine buildings on buildings. They're pushing everybody towards the main train station. Mind you, my dad is still at work, so everyone's like, we can't leave. What if he comes back, doesn't find us here? Thousands of people are just lined up, getting put in the train through the windows, through the main doors. Some people are on top of the train, and they're just kind of like making everybody leave. When my dad comes home, the bus drops him off. He realizes that it's like way too quiet. It doesn't sound normal. Something's definitely off. It's funny enough because there was still a few Serbians living in some of these buildings. My dad's neighbor was still there. They didn't kick him out because dude is Serbian. He says like, hey, where is everyone? He's like, they sent everyone to the main train station. I would go right now. And he hears one of the police, military Serbian forces going, did we get everybody? Just double check. And my dad like crunches down because you could see through the windows. So he goes to the main train station. How do you find your family and thousands of people? My dad's looking, and now anxiety is starting to build. Eventually, my cousins, they're 10, 11 years old, maybe 13, and they see my dad. And they run to him, they grab him, they bring him to the family, and everyone's hugging, and my dad's asking, what's going on, what's going on? Train leaves, it takes them to this place in Macedonia, right off the border of Kosovo. It's called Bloc. And Bloc, just picture it, it's just like a huge field with a little bit of a hill in the distance. And what the Serbian police are doing to cleanse Kosovo is they're just dropping everyone there, like trash. Now my parents say they're here for about 6 weeks. No food, barely. They would bring a truck of food. Everyone would rush to the truck, try and grab bread. They would start a fire. They were telling us that the kids are like warming up on the fire. The front is warm, their back is freezing cold. And because it's so warm, they would like slowly start falling asleep towards the fire. They're trying to eat proper food. They don't know where they're gonna go. They don't know where they're gonna live. So everything is just a mystery at this point. Then the registries start coming in, where a lot of these countries like Germany, Switzerland, France, they're all there saying, put your name in the registry of all your family members and pick 3 countries you want to go to, and whichever one you guys get picked for, they send you as refugees there. So my dad goes 2 days later with his brother, and they check the registry, and they're like, oh, for the Yashore family, and they're looking and looking. Oh, it looks like that entire family has already left to Switzerland. And they're like, how? My whole family's here. Somebody went in my family's name. They took my family's complete identity. It was the same amount of people as my family, and they went to Switzerland. Now my family's freaking out. I think we're gonna die here, because a lot of people were dying there. They start making this plan on how they're gonna stay here for a few more months and how they're gonna start walking away. They find out that the United States is accepting refugees. So they take the chance, and my parents are on one of the first planes that got sent to the United States with the whole family. And the plane landed in a military base, I believe in New Jersey, called Fort Dix. And inside Fort Dix, there's rooms with bunk beds. They have clean water, they have food, clothing. And this is where they're keeping all the refugees until they can find sponsors for them. Inside of Fort Dix, there was an imam from New York that would come in. His name was Omar Musa. And Omar Musa would come every Friday and hold a little mini Jummah prayer inside the military base. And they would let him. They started going there regularly, and the Imam is talking about basics of Islam. That's where the spark hit for them. Islam infiltrated our family, and such a calamity needed to happen for them to find a spiritual connection, and they found this. And then the military base says, okay, this whole family, we found a spot for you. You guys are going to him. Instead of sending just my mom and my dad, they took the whole family. And he has a studio apartment in New York. He goes and buys $2,000 worth of mattresses, and the whole studio apartment becomes just one big mattress. And all these kids, and they're It's just a mess. They stay there for a little bit. Slowly, they start working, saving a little bit of money. In a matter of just a few months, they start getting sponsors, people from the church. Even though they're Muslim, the Christians were helping us out a lot. My parents had this sponsor, her name was Maria. And then there was other Albanian families who we still know to today that live around the area that also had sponsors. One of the sponsors had taken one family and brought them to Wisconsin. Now they all had phone numbers of each other because they all were there from Blotz to America to New York. They call up my dad, they say, hey, you guys should come to Wisconsin because it's so much more wider. It's not like the Bronx in New York where it's like loud. It's so much more country land. It feels like back home. It's amazing here. There's so many job opportunities here. Nothing but cheese. They get on the first bus. Just my mom and my dad. My uncle and my aunts, they leave them in New York. And my dad, because they have no kids, they're like, okay, our family's safe in New York. Everyone's safe. He tells my mom, me and you have no kids. Let's go back. Now they're seeing the TV. Things are slowing down. It's not as bad as it was. My mom thinks that her family's completely dead at this point still. My dad's big advocate that we have to go back to Kosovo. Maria's like, but before you go back, I think you guys should do a checkup at the doctors because all the hospitals are blown up in Kosovo. Really bad medical care over there, and you might have a disease that you don't know about. My parents get an appointment, they do a checkup. Doctor opens the door, and the first thing the doctor says is, congratulations, you're pregnant. With me. So I'm the reason my parents are stuck in this country. My dad's becoming a little bit more religious at this point. Someone tells him there's an Albanian masjid in Kenosha, which was like about a 45-minute to an hour drive for us, which is this one. And that's how the story starts. My dad starts bringing us here. Then slowly the family that was in New York all move here. We're a big Muslim family now.
It's the media that shows.
Alaikum salam. This is one of the uncles that was here. This is one of the uncles that met my dad when they first came from New York.
Okay, awesome.
In the States.
Perfect timing then.
Thanks God we came over here. We are lucky we came over here. We appreciate a lot. We do appreciate a lot.
Walking in the facility. What's up, gang? What's up, gang? Okay, yo, that prayer room's beautiful. Y'all want to explain what this flag is next to the Bosnian flag?
It's like the Islamic, like, religious flag.
Y'all know how long this place was open?
I would say 2018 or 19.
So it's relatively new.
Yeah, I used to be a church.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Amir, nice to meet you. We're doing a documentary on this jami and the other jamias in the area. Nice. I was expecting for y'all to do like a tribal language or something.
So this is the library room.
Okay.
A lot of meetings we have here with our board and stuff like that, and there's a bunch of books. And then to the left is the Bosnia room. It used to be like a small, more personal chapel, but a lot of just like cultural pieces and like antiques.
Yeah, for me in school, like I tell people I'm Muslim, they don't believe me. They think I'm lying. Like,
yeah.
They make me say, "Oh God, that I'm Muslim."
I think this is where school starts. We have a Saturday school throughout the school year. What they did now is because so many people come for Eid, they took apart one of the classrooms and filled it with carpets so that women have a place to pray.
How many kids like were in each class?
I think between like 10 and 20 is a good amount. I know there's a couple hundred usually that enroll. And then the door opens into our youth center. We have events bi-weekly here on Fridays, where basically we have a speaker who comes and talks, and then we'll have dinner and kind of just time to socialize.
This place is a lot bigger inside than it looks from the outside.
Yeah,
that's for
a
sure.
lot of planning went into it. Nobody ever thought we would ever end up with it. It's some sort of plant with the 99 names of Allah around on each petal.
How long have y'all been fasted for? Like, what age did you start doing it consistently?
I started elementary school in a Muslim school, so it was kind of like
okay.
not necessarily forced on me, but it was just like
encouraged. Yeah.
So I feel like since I remember.
I started in 2016.
I feel bad, but we're making you like scavenge behind.
No, it's a good workout for him.
Bruh.
We got the Bosnian room exclusives.
Okay, my name is Omer Suleiman. I came to Chicago 30 years ago.
Okay, were you one of like the first in your Bosnian community here in Chicago?
No, actually, first I ended up in Oakland. From there I was searching to find Bosnian community. So this is 100% Bosnian community. 10 years ago we purchased the Presbyterian church. It was on sale here. We like clean places. That's number one. For us, cleanliness is like number one priorities. Yeah. Our culture, you know, stuff like that. We don't have nothing against any other culture. Muslim brother from any part of the world can come over here and pray with us. No problem, you know.
I mean, I was lucky to go to a school which was really diverse. Most Muslims that are showcased on
movies and TV shows with a darker tone, and they were always portrayed as the bad guys. But I never really had a problem with my identity as a Muslim.
You want to delve a little bit more into like that problem with culture and religion? Like,
yeah, you know, it feels like you are being pulled between two worlds. Islam and religion has a lot of restraints and restrictions, and then culture, the society that you're living in. It's a lot of pressure on oneself to balance those out.
Society in United States, when they go out, if they don't drink, people look at them here like, hey, what's up with you? Are you something wrong? You know, like, what's up? They use religion to get cured.
Okay.
So when they got cured, now they go back to society, where society is still asking, hey, why don't you drink?
Our kids from our Saturday school did a Ramadan donation last year. Every class collected money throughout their Ramadan break, and then we donated a well.
What do you guys call these in Bosnian?
Festivity, yeah.
Festivity. So this, in English, I think is a kufi. This is like just Bosnian, right? This isn't Islamic.
Some sort of like tribal.
Yeah.
لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار.
Big stained glass from when I was in church. We never really did anything with that.
Y'all left the stained glass from the church as like a sign of respect.
This is basically just a massive picture frame of the entire Quran, but totally zoomed out, obviously. I really don't even know if it's possible to read off of that. And then, of course, the 99 names of Allah. One is Muhammad and one is Allah on the left side. Inside, I feel like a huge detail is like the murals that we have painted. I'm not sure of his name, but one of the guys who's been like part of our mosque for so long, he came and he hand painted every single mural on the wall. So this is our gym. Right now it's set up and decorated for Eid tomorrow.
I was expecting to see like some culinary masterpiece, and I see a bunch of like rabbit food in the container.
Tomorrow morning.
Do people like ever confuse you for like being, I don't know, Christian or any other religion?
Not necessarily confused, but they're shocked when they find out that I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm white and I speak perfect English. I come from a white family.
My mom is a survivor, so and my grandma. Like, that's why you see this, the flower, and then on the back.
And then what's that mean?
8,272, that's how many people were killed.
Is it true that they're still finding like more records for that number? Or?
Oh yeah. Every single year. My grandpa, he was killed in 95. They recovered him in 2009 and then recovered him in 2018, like more. So they keep finding stuff every year, and they have like reburials every single year.
Yeah, I feel like every year more stuff is being uncovered. I know this year the biggest thing is like the sniper safari.
Wealthy tourists, mainly from rich Western states, paid the Bosnian Serb forces to shoot Bosniaks in Sarajevo. Civilians in Sarajevo were frequently shot at and killed by snipers from the Serb forces during the 4-year siege.
Explain for those who don't know what Srebrenica is.
It's a city in Bosnia, and it's where the worst genocide since the Holocaust on European soil happened, done by Serbians. Basically what Srebrenica was established as a UN safe zone. So they took away the army's guns in that area. They came into Srebrenica, ended up killing 8,372 people. So this book talks about my mom's brother. So you see on the cover, Mirnes Osmanovic. That's my mom's brother who was killed. And this is where he was, literally 6 days after the genocide happened. You can see all this like dug up stuff on the earth. And what this really is that there's the Bosnian Muslims, there's the Bosnian Serbs, and then there's the Serbs. Bosnian Serbs and Serbs are not the same thing. Bosnians who are like Orthodox, so the same religion as Serbs, they would side with the Serbs because this was more of like a religious battle rather than anything else.
The genocide of Srebrenica was fueled by religion mostly, you say?
Yeah. And Srebrenica was unfortunately not the only place. The siege of Sarajevo with the sniping safari. The reason of the war was all religious based because these are all those Bosnian Serbs I was telling you about, the side of Serbia. So that's why when Bosnia originally gained independence, it was already a losing war. All this territory right here, they wanted to stay part of Serbia. Imagine like war, right, with a country, and they're already in your front lines to begin with. Like they're already inside, like really close to Sarajevo and like your capital. My mom's brother, 14 or 15 at the time, and he was killed. He was taken away. This is the only artifact that we have of him. And I think this just kind of shows that they were really ruthless when it comes to just actually looting houses, because this is literally the only physical thing we have of him. This was his that he used to pray with. So my grandma, she could only get her hands on this because it would be your neighbors that actually would really do the most. Serbs, Orthodox, Catholics, they all coexisted together. But when this war happened, it just kind of gave them like the motivation just to kind of push their boundaries and push like the limits. So they go into my mom's house, and like he remembers vividly when they opened the door, there was like a cross and everything, which obviously it's a Muslim household, there's never supposed to be a cross there. And he goes, "What are you doing in my brother's house?" "Oh, don't worry, the Serbs, we killed your brother already, you don't need this house anymore," and he tried taking it. That was how my uncle at the time figured out that his brother was killed and his family by who was his neighbors. Mind you, they were sharing food with each other, inviting each other for dinner. Now they're taking each other's houses, looting each other's stuff, and kind of poking fun at the fact that now that his brother's dead, that they can just have the right to take their house. Just a matter of days, they killed 8,000 just Muslim boys and men. They were walking and she was holding him like this. He had like an injured leg because he had two shells in his, he had a shell in his arm and a shell in his leg. And the soldier stops my mom and her family and goes, "Oh, how old is he? What's your name? How old is he?" He was like, "My name is Mirnes," and he lied. He was 14 or 15 at the time, but he said he was 12 or 11.
He thought maybe to show him mercy for being younger.
Yeah. The soldier tries taking Mirnes away from my grandma, and my grandma obviously fights back. She's not gonna give him up. The soldier literally wrestled him like out of her hands, and at this point my mom was bawling her eyes out crying. And the last words my uncle said to my mom, her brother Mirnes, he goes, "Don't cry, like don't make a big deal or they'll take you too." This is what they did in order just to get like kind of like the Western approval. Everyone was against Bosnia at the time because, and also same thing with Albania, Croatia and Serbia, they both turned on Bosnia for simply just being Muslims. That was the crime that we committed, was just being a Muslim country. In a video, you can see my grandma asking Ratko Mladic, the head general, the one who orchestrated this whole thing in like these mass killings. She goes, "What are you gonna do with the children? Like, what are you gonna do with the boys?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing will happen to them. You guys just listen to us and they'll be home free." And then they cut their cameras and they go and they take them, load them up on trucks and send them away. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's the last they were seen, you said?
Yeah, that's the last thing.
Nemojte da se neko dijete izgubi. Ne bojte se ništa, niko vam neće ništa uraditi. Ovo je živio. Nemojte kukati, ne stvari koristiti.
In the book, it talks about how he was kind of like transported around from place to place and then eventually killed by the river.
This was a very manipulative war, or not even a war, on the genocide.
Completely.
But they wanted to paint it as a war, and that was part of their manipulation tactic. By grabbing hostages and making it look like they're not hostages.
In Srebrenica, in that town, there was never a church there. They came in and they built a church to try saying, "Oh look, this was always something that was like ours, that was Orthodox, that was Christian." They had no remorse, and they would make fun of people who would run through the woods. They would catch them and they go, "Why are you scared of us? Like, we're not gonna do anything to you," and then they would kill them off camera. Honestly, the most vicious tactics you could probably ever see. You're literally throwing your brother or your dad into a river, walking back, knowing you're about to get killed next. There's something so recent, so gruesome done by the Serbs. For it not to be talked about, I think that's something that really I think we should change, and hopefully our education system, or just at least just people knowing more about it.
Yeah.